Okay, great. So thank you so much for attending today's webinar, and we are going to start. So this being a Customer Service Week, RWK and the team says thank you to all of you for attending our webinars. If it's your first time, thank you. If you have been following us for quite some time, we also say thank you, and we really appreciate. So respecting our religion, we are going to start with a word of prayer to commit today's session. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, King of glory, we come unto you, Father, this morning. We thank you so much for this moment that are given unto us, Father. We commit this session unto you. Be with us, Lord, as we start and even as we end. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen. So welcome once again. So my name is Charity Dibu, and I'm going to be your trainer for today. Just a quick housekeeping, in case you have any questions, just raise it on the comment section, on the chat section, or at the Q&A section, and we are going to answer it. Those that will not be answered by the time we are finalizing, then we'll be able to have a Q&A session and at the end. So I hope my slides are visible so that we can start. In case also of any challenge that you might have during the session, kindly raise it, and my IT team is going to respond to that. So we want to have a very smooth session, and we have a lot of things in store for you. Yeah, it's all about tax education, which is important. So kindly confirm that my slides are visible so that we can start. And also on the chat section, you can tell us where you are listening us from, or even the company that you represent. That will be good for us. Thank you so much, Sheila. So today we'll be talking about the tax trends and the recent KRA updates. So it's important for us to keep ourselves up to date with whatever thing that is happening. And we really need to know and embrace that technology is advancing at a high rate. And our revenue authority, that is KRA, and even other revenue outside Kenya, they are embracing technology. So even as we are going to be looking at the tax trends and these recent KRA updates, it's also important for us as business people. So at the end of it, we'll have two summarized case studies involving taxpayers in our jurisdiction, in the Kenyan jurisdiction, and it's a judgment by the Tax Appeals Tribunal, and we are going to see some of the issues that are there. So even as we are running our businesses, it's also important that we know what is happening out here. We keep ourselves up to date, and also we embrace technology in terms of how we do our record keeping, how we engage our customers, and also majorly all other stakeholders within our businesses. So the content of today's presentation, we are going to do a small introduction. We're going to look at the key legislative changes. What are some of the changes that has come up? What are some of the iTax enhancement? And iTax is the platform that is used by all taxpayers. So all of us here, I believe we are all taxpayers, either as an individual or as a business. So we have access to the iTax. So what are some of the enhancements that has been done by the Kenya Revenue Authority? Then we'll also look at the audit focus areas, which is also something that is trending currently. There are so many audits that are being done by KRA. So it's important for us to understand that this is not just the normal audit that we engage an external auditor to come and do. This audit is done by the tax authority, by the revenue authority, to come and verify what you have been doing. Because the law stipulates clearly that within 5 years, it can come and confirm what you have been doing, because we need to understand that Kenya is a self-assessment regime, meaning that we are the ones who are self-assessing ourselves, declaring the income that we have made, claiming the expenses that we have made. And in that, KRA expects that there is full disclosure. There's no any omission or basically evasion of taxes. Then we look at the two tax cases that we have talked about, which were published in the Tax Appeals Tribunal. Then also we look at some compliance tips that RWK is going to share with us. And lastly, we'll be able to, as RWK, we have an accounting software by the name My Accurate Books. So also at the end of it all, before we finalize fully, we'll be able to take you through our software, so that at least if you do not have an accounting software in your workplace, then we have something that you can consider and use, which will help you in ensuring that you are compliant and you are getting the reports that you should be getting on a daily basis. So before we start with the introduction, there is a quote by Albert Einstein, and he says that the hardest thing to understand in the world is the income tax. So I don't know from your side whether you agree that the hardest thing to understand in the world is the income tax or any other tax. It might be hard, but there are ways to make it simple for us to understand. And also during this session, I'm going to use the most layman's language that I can be able to use for you to be able to understand. Because we understand that there are so many jargons that some of the taxpayers are not able to understand. So we start with introduction, and tax systems are rapidly evolving due to globalization, technology, and changing economic priorities. So as you have seen, what we are doing in 2020 is totally different from what we are doing now. So there has been a very high technological change, and we have said that the revenue authority, that is particularly for us here in Kenya, that is KRA. It's really advancing, and they have embraced technology, and those advancements are there. So we are going to look at some of them. And hence, as taxpayers, all of us are taxpayers in one way or another, as I had indicated earlier. So staying ahead of tax trends is essential for compliance, risk management, and strategic decision making. So we have to know what is changing, because if you have encountered any issue or you have had a dispute with the revenue authority, you can be able to attest that everything they do, they reference the law, and the law keeps on changing. So we have the Finance Act 2025, which brought up some changes. We had some amendments in December 2024. We had the Finance Act for even 2023. So each and every year, each and every time, there are some changes that are happening. So it's important for us to ensure that we stay ahead of these changes that are happening, so that if a particular change occurs and it affects your business, then you need to sit down as the management and decide, this has been said, this instruction has been issued, how does it affect us, and what are we supposed to do? Then if it is something that you cannot be able to explain or you are not able to understand, consultation is also wise. You can engage KRA to seek for clarification, which they will do. If you have a tax consultant, a tax representative that you have appointed, also get in touch with them and let them explain to you what it means. Even get in touch with your auditors for you to be able to understand. If it doesn't affect you, then at least you know and you didn't ignore. So it's also wise for us to ensure that we have access to the registered email that we have registered with KRA, because it is in these emails that we'll be able to get and to stay ahead of some of the updates that are happening. So also, when you follow the KRA in their social media platforms, and also other tax practitioners and auditors, you'll find that they keep on creating awareness on these changes that are happening. So it's important you spare a few days in a day. You ensure that you check your emails to check whether there's any communication from KRA. And this involves, sometimes you might find that an individual was appointed as a withholding agent, but they did not get the communication on time. They didn't access their email. They only access the email when they are in need. But it's important for us to just keep on checking. You'll find that there are automatic emails that are normally sent by the KRA. So you find that maybe they have sent you something to do with installment taxes, some variances in your system. And the moment you get that and you're not understanding what it means, then consult. And through that, you will be able to avoid issues that might pile up or come up in future. Then the reason as to why staying ahead of tax trends or any other updates is important. Why it matters is because KRA is using technology, and we can attest to the iTax portal that we are using. Previously, we had the legacy system. You could go to KRA with the documentation. So like, for example, back in 2010, or periods prior to iTax, that is prior to 2014, taxpayers were going with the file. So if it is like today, 9th, you could find that maybe there's a huge line because all the taxpayers are there and they want to file their pay as you earn. And that can only be done by a KRA officer. But with the advancement of technology and the introduction of the iTax portal, it made things easier in that you are able to do the filing at the comfort of your office at any time, so long as you adhere to the deadline. Then we have the TIMS, the Tax Invoice Management System. We have data matching, and these are mainly to monitor businesses more closely. So this advancement that is happening in the use of technology is to monitor business more closely. And also we have the e-RITs. The rental invoice management system will also be able to check on that. Then non-compliance is getting easier to detect. So using this technology, as it is advancing, then any person who is non-compliant, KRA is able to that person is able to be flagged, and now KRA is able to follow that person if they are non-compliant. Then staying informed helps avoid penalties and prepare for audits. So we have said that this is not just the normal audit that is done by an auditor. So ensure, just know that in the Companies Act, you are required to be audited as a business by an auditor. And also, even with ISPAC, they have introduced the UDIN, the Unique Document Identification Number, in that any stakeholder that wants to use to check the authenticity of your document, there's going to be a QR code that needs to be placed there by the auditor to confirm that indeed these audited accounts relate to you and they have been audited by a certain auditor. So also, when we understand that, for example, like today, we are supposed to file our pay as you earn. We are supposed to file our other statutories like the NSSF and NHIF, then we'll be able to avoid the penalties. When we know that the deadline for filing VAT is 20th of every month, then this staying informed help us to avoid any penalties. Like, for example, when we had the changes in the withholding, the time you are supposed to remit to KRA. Previously, for withholding, you are supposed to do it by 20th of the following month. But that changed in that you're supposed to remit the withholding within 5 days. If you are not up to date and you are not informed of this change, then it means that when you go to file for the 20th, you'll get that you have got a penalty, and then you start wondering, why do I have a penalty? But it's because a change occur and you are not informed, Hence, you delay it, and once you delay, then you are going to encounter these penalties and the interest. So what are some of the recent changes that we have? One, it's on the income tax deductions and reliefs and exemptions. So KRA gave a guidance that employer has an obligation to ensure that they apply the income tax deductions, reliefs, and exemptions. So the employer has a mandate to ensure that they apply personal relief to all resident employees as stipulated under the Act. So we need to know that each and every individual has got a personal relief of 2,400. So if you are not aware and you fail to include the personal relief, then it means that you will be in a payable position when now the pay as you earn is being filed. So the employer, because the employer is the one who is acting as an agent on behalf of the employee. So they are the ones who are supposed to be filing this pay as you earn. So when they are filing because we have got the simplified pay as you earn template, and also in the previous, the old one, there was a section for you to feed the personal relief. So it is the responsibility of the employer to ensure that they include this personal relief. Then we have the issue of insurance relief, mortgage interest deduction, and contribution to registered pension scheme and post-retirement medical fund, provided these are declared by the employee and supported by necessary documentation and fall within the statutory limits. So as an individual, when we are talking about pay-as-you-earn saving strategies, one of it we have the insurance relief. So as an employee, if you have taken an insurance cover, for example, you have taken an insurance cover with Britam or CIC, and you have those necessary documentation to show the cover that you have taken, the premiums that you are paying, all those documentation, provide it to the employer. Because sometimes you'll find that the person who is filing for the pay as you earn, they want to do some savings. So they'll just include the insurance relief because there's no point for you to attach that documentation. And remember, this insurance relief, it's meant to reduce your tax liability. But if you have just included that amount without any document that can be able to back that up, then it means that you are going to face some penalties and the interest, and also to be the issue of to review this, and they find that there is an insurance relief or a mortgage interest deduction that was included by the employer, but there is no support documentation to show that, then they are going to disallow that. Then deduct statutory levies and contribution paid by employee, such as the affordable housing levy, contribution to the social health insurance fund in accordance with the Act. So as also when we are filing our pay as you earn, and this particular employee has done a contribution to the affordable housing levy, which is normally 1.5%, is the one that is being contributed by the employee. And also they have contributed to the social health insurance fund, which is 2.75%. Then that contribution, the employer is supposed to include it as an allowable deduction. Hence, it's going to reduce the taxable pay for this particular employee. So if the employee fails to do that, the employer fails to do that, and they have been given that proper guidance to ensure that it is their mandate to ensure that that is included. Then also the issue of recognizing and applying tax exemption for employees who hold valid tax exemption certificate subject to the prescribed limit. So for example, like the people with disability, that is the PWD. If you have got a person with living with disability in your organization, then they are exempted. The first 150,000 is exempt from tax. So meaning that if an employee is earning 140, they'll be exempt. That amount, they are not going to pay any tax. But you have to include all the proper documentation to show that this particular employee is actually an employee, a person living with disability. So if that documentation is available, and all these documents that we are talking about, they need to be included in the employee file. So just in case when KRA is just doing their routine checks and they are maybe doing a pay audit on your company, they need all these documents need to be there. Then ensure accurate and timely submission of pay returns, reflecting all applicable reliefs, deductions, and exemptions. There's something I said that for the employer, they are acting as an agent on behalf of they are acting as an agent for KRA, in that they are computing the pay for the employee, deducting that pay as you earn from the employee, and remitting it to KRA. If an employer has filed pay as you earn and has failed to pay, there is a lot of strict measures in regards to that, because that is agency revenue. So KRA is wondering why you have deducted your employee and you have failed to remit. And these are some of the issues that we face. An employee has been in a certain organization for quite some time. And when they file their return, they find that they have got a payable because the employer failed to remit that amount. And this particular employee is not able to get a tax compliance certificate because of this issue. But the employer already deducted this amount. So you find that there's an issue maybe from 2020 all the way to date. The employer has never remitted that pay as you earn. And now the person who is at fault here is the employee, because even they cannot be able to access a tax compliance certificate. So also as an employee, access your iTax portal, go to the ledger. After each and every month, confirm that that amount has been remitted. In case it has not been remitted, then follow up with your employer, because some people realize this once they are out of employment, that the employer has been deducting, but they have failed to remit. They have never remitted that amount. So you find that an employee already left that organization, but they still got some problems that is pertaining to the previous employer. Then employees are advised to promptly provide their employers with all required documentation to support claims for deductions and reliefs where applicable. So if it is that insurance cover that you have taken as an employee, just take that responsibility and ensure that you promptly provide that document to the employer. So that is the guidance that we have, and we have to follow it to completion. Then we have the issue of electronic rental invoice tax system, that is IRITS. And they have also given a guidelines on onboarding. So the purpose of IRITS is to streamline the assessment, filing, and payment of the monthly rental income, that is MRI tax. So the taxpayers who pay MRI, they are those who are landlords and property owners, and whose income from residential, not commercial, residential, and it ranges between 288,000 to 15 million per year. They are required to pay MRI, that is the monthly rental income. And the tax rate for MRI currently is 7.5%. And this is the final tax, meaning that no expenses are deductible. So the functionality of IRITS is that it allows for registration of rental properties, filing of monthly returns, automatic tax computation, and generation of payment slip. So the IRITS can be accessed through the eCitizen. So instead of using the iTax portal, landlords and property owners, they can just use the eCitizen, update their property details, and be able to file their monthly rental income. So also ensure that you are aware of the penalties and the interest that are normally involved when you fail to do that. So in the recent years, there has been ongoing rental audits. So this means that KRA officers have been going around, taking the data for all the buildings that are around, and now checking who are the owners and comparing whatever data they have got, that is the rooms that building has, since when was it completed, then compare that with what the taxpayer, that is the landlord or the property owner, has been declaring on their site. So you find that they were getting a lot of variance. So you find that even some of the landlords and property owners, they are not, they have not been paying the MRI. So, but For those with commercial properties, it doesn't fall under MRI. It falls under the other regime. So meaning that for commercial, if you exceed the threshold of VAT of 5 million, then you're supposed to charge VAT on that. And now VAT, which is not final, you have to declare the income at the end of the year as rental income, and also claim the expenses that you might have incurred. So the taxes will be based on the profit that you get for that particular year. So we also have another update in regards to objection period updated. So objection, what mainly it means is that KRA doesn't, you don't just get a letter from KRA or a demand from KRA. Maybe they write to me as a taxpayer and tells me that I'm supposed to pay 10 million. So what we need to know is that each and every taxpayer has a constitutional right to challenge any tax decision. So meaning that if you are not in agreement to the amount they are demanding, and you have proper documentation. So another thing we need to remember is that the burden of proof is always on the taxpayer. So you are the one who is supposed to prove and say that I'm not supposed to pay this 10 million because of this and this and this, and you provide all the support documentation. So the timelines for submitting objections and appeal against tax decision will exclude weekends and public holidays, and the iTax system, the one that we have said we normally use, has been updated to reflect these changes. So when you receive a demand for some taxes, that amount is already in your iTax system. So when you check your iTax system, you'll be able to get that you have got an additional assessment. And if that amount is in dispute, then you can challenge that So if you get an additional assessment today being 9th of October, you have got 30 days to ensure that you lodge an objection to the independent review of objection department. So if you are unable to do that via the iTax portal, because that is where you're supposed to do it, then you can do it via email. So, and once you do that, there's some conditions that you have to meet. So if you receive an additional assessment of 10 million and you are in dispute with that, meaning that you are not in agreement that you're supposed to pay to KRA the 10 million, then you need to do an objection within 30 days. And after you do that objection, your objection, it needs to state precisely the grounds of objections, the reasons to be made to the decision, and the amendments. Then after which, in case there's a tax that is not in dispute, meaning that you have received the 10 million, yes, but according to your calculation, 1 million is okay and you're supposed to pay. Then in case of that 1 million, which we are saying is the tax that is not in dispute, then you need to have entered into an arrangement with the commissioner, and that is KRA. You need to have a plan on how you are going to pay that amount. And also lastly, that all the proper documentation to support your objection has been provided. So once you meet all those conditions, then it means that your objection will be validated, and hence they are going to review, after which they need to take like 60 days to ensure that they give you a decision. And in that decision, whether it's favorable or not, it will depend whether you can proceed on to the next level. So we have a right, we have that constitutional right to challenge any tax decision that we receive. So we just don't say that KRA has been on my neck for quite some time. They are demanding millions of money, which I'm not able to pay. Consult a tax professional to assist you to check whether indeed you're supposed to pay this amount of money. And just remember that after that, that case will go on and on until we have the highest court, that is the Court of Appeal. So the implication is that this change will ensure that taxpayers are not disadvantaged by non-working days like tomorrow when computing statutory deadlines. So we have also the gratuity exemption, and in the Finance Act 2025, gratuity earned after 1st July 2025 is exempt from tax. Just to repeat and to emphasize on that, gratuity earned after 1st July 2025 is exempt from tax. So any gratuity that you get prior to relating to periods prior to 30th June 2025 is not exempt from tax. So if today as an employee you get gratuity, and the gratuity runs maybe from 2020 all the way to 2024, then that is not going to be exempt. The gratuity that will be exempt is the gratuity that you have earned from 1st July 2025. So before 1st July 2025, that is 30th June 2025 going backwards, it's still taxable even if paid later. So the tax treatment, what we normally do on the treatment for gratuity, we spread across up to 4 years prior years. Then, but the balance is taxed. The entire balance is taxed in the 5th year. So gratuity is taxed at the applicable rates in the respective years. And for gratuity paid out of a public pension scheme, which was exempt from tax by the Tax Laws Amendment Act 2024, effective 27 December 2024, the guidance above shall apply with respect to periods prior to December 2024 before the exemption came into force. So it's important for us to understand and know the interpretation of the law. Then we have some ITAX enhancement. The first one is on ITR for resident, individual, and the ITR for non-resident. So both online and offline. So these templates have been enhanced to include a dedicated section for declaring lump sum and final tax income, such as gratuity, pension, arrears, qualifying interest, and dividends. So this will happen after this year has ended. When we are filing our annual return as individuals, then we'll have this section. And this income will be captured. It's just for reporting purposely only, and it's not supposed to affect the net taxable income, tax due or refund calculation. So this will reflect in the gross consolidated income for the year. So taxpayers who wish to declare such income are advised to download the latest version of the ITR for resident and that one for non-resident return to access these features. We also have the automation of tax return filings for salaried employees. So here it means that after the end of the year, when you're filing your 2025 return, your data will already be captured in the iTax portal. So that has also been there for quite some time. So you'll get an auto field from the employer submission. So, and if you have been deducted pay as you earn on a monthly basis, I had indicated earlier that you need to check your ledger to confirm even before you submit, because in that tax return filing, it will show that the amount deducted was this much. And when you are filing, it might even show you that you have a tax credit. But the moment you file, you find that you have got an arrear, an amount that is due that you're supposed to pay. And that you can only confirm from the ledger whether your employer has been remitting. So there'll be no more manual entry for P9 forms. And this is a faster, simpler, and more accurate filing. And this will reduce errors, and it will also save time. So we have got some updates also on the agency taxes. We have the Adi Water Agency Revenue Collection. And for Adi Water Agency Revenue Collection, they partnered with KRA. And KRA is mandated to collect agency revenue on its behalf. And a back office payment registration service has been developed so that officers can assist taxpayers when necessary to generate payment slip for this agency tax. Then we also have the rollout of the collection of sugar development levy. And KRA was appointed as the collector of sugar development levy by the Kenya Sugar Board. And the payment process will be through the iTax portal, whereby you have to generate a payment slip for you to make the payment. And the payment, currently, we have the 22222, which is the eCitizen pay bill number that you can use to pay, even for any other taxes, including the pay as you earn, VAT, or also you can use the bank details as highlighted just below the payment slip. Then also we have the issue to do with overpayment adjustment voucher and refund adjustment voucher. So this one is, for example, you filed your 2024 return. There was a withholding that you had, or you had done some installment taxes. But when the audit was concluded, whatever amount that you had paid was in excess, or even you had been done withholding the income tax withholding, and you find that KRA is the one that owes you. You have a credit and not a payable. Then when you have got that, you can be able to generate an overpayment adjustment voucher or a refund adjustment voucher. And once you have this voucher, you can be able to offset it against other taxes, except for pay as you earn, withholding income tax, withholding VAT, or withholding rent. So previously, if you could have a voucher, an overpayment adjustment voucher of 1 million, and you have paid due of 800,000, you could use that to offset that. But currently, the option for offsetting against pay as you earn, withholding income tax, withholding VAT, and withholding rent, that has been disabled. So you can get an adjustment voucher for income tax for last year or any other years, but years from 2017 going onwards, and you can use that to offset against your VAT. And that one happens automatically in some instances. So the Excel template for withholding now has been grayed out field for claiming overpayment adjustment voucher and refund adjustment voucher, even for the pay as you earn. So offsets are still being around for other tax obligation. So just remember that you cannot get you cannot offset this voucher against pay as you earn or any other withholding tax, be it either income tax, VAT, or even rental. Then we have additional partner banks for payment registration number payments. So these banks were not there previously, but they have been included. So in case you have a DIB bank, Habib Bank, Housing Finance, Kingdom Bank, SPM, so then those have been included. So you can use that to make any payment to KRA. So we'll also look at Section 15, subsection 4 of the Income Tax Act. And this mainly talks about the carrying forward of losses. So mostly you'll experience that for companies that are just starting, they might get some losses for quite some time, or maybe because of a natural calamity or something, or even when we had the issue to do with the pandemic, some of the companies were really affected and they experienced losses in 2020 or even in some years after 2020. So we have an interpretation of the amendment that was made for Section 15, subsection 4 of the Tax Procedures Act 2015. And this was done via the Finance Act 2025. And the Finance Act 2025 amended Section 15, subsection 4 of the Income Tax Act to limit the period within which tax losses can be carried forward as an allowable deduction to 5 years. So previously it was to infinity, but now it is 5 years. The limit is 5 years, and the amendment took place effective 1st July 2025. So initially, KRA did not indicate a transitional clause. So they noted that the Finance Act 2025 did not provide a transactional clause for addressing the tax treatment of losses accumulated prior to 1st July 2025. So they gave a notice and a confirmation confirming the losses incurred before 1st July 2025. So the KRA confirmed the following position. That is, 1, any losses incurred prior to the year of income 2020 are not deductible going forward. This implies that losses incurred before 2020 are not permitted to be carried forward. So that is a confirmation. So the next item I'd like us to look at is the recent legal rulings and enforcement. So when you access the Kenya Law website, you'll find that tax cases are updated there frequently. So it's important for us to keep ourselves up to date with some of the judgments or rulings that have been given and which are going to help us. So just a correction, I've realized in this, I indicated a 0 instead 2025. So this should be any losses incurred prior to the year of income 2025, 2020 are not deductible going forward. So that is okay because the 5 years. So mainly here they indicated that losses accumulated prior to 1st July 2025 will continue to be carried forward indefinitely and remain allowable without being subject to the 5-year limitation. And the 5-year carry forward limitation applies only to losses accumulated on or after 1st July 2025. So we have one judgment for a company by Avon Energy versus Commission of Domestic Taxes. And this is appeal number E047 of 2025. So the legal issue basically here is that Avon Energy International Limited appealed an additional tax assessment of 578 million raised by KRA for the period 2020 to 2022. The assessment was based on findings of unexplained under declaration sales, overstated purchases, unsupported expenses, and failure to charge pay as you earn on directors' drawings and benefit. So it's good we learn from others and not expect that once we face an issue, that is the time we are starting to comply. So for example, in this, you can see that there's unexplained underdeclared sales. So meaning maybe they have indicated that these are non-sales, hence they should not be part of sales. But remember, the burden of proof is on the taxpayer. So the taxpayer is the one that is expected to ensure that they prove everything to KRA and they provide all the support documentation. Then overstated purchases. So these overstated purchases, you might find that mostly KRA will compare what you have been, the purchases you have in your VAT and the purchases you are claiming at the end of the year. So any variance, they are going to term it as overstated purchases. But because you have been audited, you need to have the support documentation to show that this was not just an overstated. Why was this purchase omitted in your VAT return? Then unsupported expenses, any expense that you claim, any repair and maintenance, any professional fee, any expense that you indicate that you have incurred in a particular year, you're supposed to support. So also, when the KRA request, some of the document they are going to request, one of it is the bank statement. When they check the bank statement and they go to the money out, the money that is coming out of that bank, and they find that this money out was going to the director, to either one of the director, and there is no support as to why that amount was withdrawn, then it's termed as director's drawing, and it's hence a benefit which ought to be subjected to pay as you earn. So all this, even when you are running your business currently, ensure that any variance that you encounter between the income that you have in your bank and what you declared is explained. Any purchases, any variance between the purchases you have in your VAT and the ones you have in your income tax, it also need to be explained. All the expenses that you claim, they need to have the support documentation. Any drawings by the director from the bank, it also needs to be supported, because if it is not supported, KRA will assume that this was a benefit which was supposed to be subjected to pay as you earn. And they are going to reference the law. So so the Avon Energy claimed the assessment was based on assumption, arguing that KRA failed to account for non-tradable line fill quantity required to remain in the pipeline and incorrectly included prior year 2021 purchases in the 2022 audit. So for you to be able to understand further on this case, what it's all about, because this just a 16-page document, I've tried to summarize so that I can just bring the point home. But the second point explains a lot, and that is the main issue for contention here. So just search online on the tax appeal E047 of 2025, and you'll be able to get that judgment. So the tribunal will, in all instances, give its finding, and it indicated that the tax appeals tribunal found the appeal was not properly before it because the appellant filed the appeal document, memorandum of appeal, and statement of fact outside the statutory 14-day timeline without seeking leave. We say that from today henceforth, if we have not been updating ourselves of the changes that are happening and even what the law says, you need to be aware that when you receive an objection decision before you proceed on to the tribunal, the date that you receive your objection decision, you have got 30 days. And the tribunal is normally very strict on timelines. So once you receive your objection decision and you're not satisfied, you've got 13 days to file a notice of appeal. When you give a notice of appeal, you have got 14 days to file the memorandum of appeal, the statement of fact, and the other appeal documents. So in case the 14 days is not enough, you have to write to the tribunal to be granted leave to file, to seek more time. The same case, even when you receive an objection decision and the 30 days are not enough, then you can always write to KRA. But in some instances, for example, as we talk, you might have gotten an objection decision last year, but you didn't know what to do. Then it means that the first thing, because you have a right to challenge that, and they are going to listen to you. But the first thing you need to do is to seek leave to file an appeal out of time, because the 30 days already elapsed. And the tribunal is always very lenient. They are going to grant you that time. So once they do that, then you follow the other procedures. So if you, in case you have an objection decision and you are wondering where to go, then you can book a consultation with us and we are going to assist you in that. So here, the fact that there were other issues pertaining to the unexplained and declaration sales, overstated purchases, and supported expenses, the KRA won because they were able to prove and to show that this particular taxpayer failed to seek leave more time because they filed the memorandum of appeal and the statement of fact outside after the 14 days timeline. So that is how it ended. And in case Avon is not satisfied with this judgment, then they proceed on to the High Court. And sometimes you will find that there's a judgment that has been issued by the tribunal, but it's in favor of the taxpayer. So you find that the person who is going to the High Court is KRA. They are the ones who are taking the case to the High Court or even to the Courts of Appeal. So that is Avon Energy case versus Commission of Domestic Taxes. We have another one that is Star Rentals Limited versus Commission of Domestic Taxes, and this is tax appeal number E1482 of 2024. So Star Rental Limited is a vehicle and equipment leasing company, and they wanted to amend their VAT return for July 2022. And in this, they wanted to claim input VAT of 97 million, which they missed for the month of March, April, and July 2022. So Star Rental argued that the claim should be allowed because input tax was incurred within the 6 months limit under Section 17, subsection 2 of the VAT Act. And the respondent, that is the commissioner, that is KRA, rejected by giving a rejection notice. Sorry, this also, it was also an argument by the appellant, where they indicated that the respondent KRA issued a rejection notice after 154 days, well beyond the 30 days statutory limit under Section 31, subsection 3 of the Tax Procedures Act, meaning the amendment should be deemed accepted by operations of the law. So on the other side, the respondent gave their argument and said that the input claim were introduced beyond 6 months after the end of the tax period, violating Section 17, subsection 2 of the VAT Act. Tax statutes must be constructed strictly, and the commissioner cannot be compelled to extend a time limit set by law. So what the tribunal gave is that they found that the decision being appealed was a rejection of a self-assessment amendment under Section 31, subsection 2 of the Tax Procedures Act, according to the Tax Procedures Act. And a tax decision is not an appealable decision. Therefore, the tribunal lacks jurisdiction to hear the matter. So even what the tribunal is deciding and what the appellant is indicating, you find that there is no following of the law. So when you check the Tax Procedures Act, it normally it gives several definitions of what it means by a tax decision. And the first one is, it might mean an assessment. And when we are talking about an appealable decision, it's an objection decision or any other decision in the process of making an objection decision. So meaning that this tax decision was not an appealable decision. Hence, they ought to have objected. And once they object and they get an objection decision and they are still not satisfied, they proceed on. So what I would like to highlight in this is that, for example, if you had some purchases, like they are indicating March, April, and July 2022, and they are doing this in 2023 or 2024, but the return they are amending is for July. When we are counting the 6 months, are we counting for the period that we are filing, that is for July? Because if you are counting for July, then March, April, and July, it's within the 6 months. But that is not the case. When we are doing the amendment, we normally consider the time that you are doing the amendment, not the period for which you are doing the amendment. So if they did the amendment in June 2023, then it means that the March, April, and July invoices with input VAT of 97 million, they are time barred. That's why it's important for us as we do proper planning, so that all the purchases that we have made for a particular month, we ensure that we claim all of them in that particular month to avoid the issue of invoices being time barred. Because I believe it was not in contention that they really did incur input VAT of 97 million. They might have the invoices, they might have the invoices, the proof of payment, everything to show that indeed they cut that. But the time they are doing that amendment, that time has already lapsed. And those invoices are going to be termed as time barred. And we have so many instances that has happened and have led taxpayers to pay a lot of money and to have a lot of figures relating to VAT disputes. So what are some of the ongoing tax audits? So we have the return review, audit, compliance check. So as a company, you might get a letter from KRA indicating they want to do a verification check for the period maybe 2020 to 2024. They want to do an audit. They want to do a compliance check. They want to do a return review. So the purpose of any of those letters is basically to verify the correctness of submitted tax return, be it either be income tax, be it either VAT, be it a pay as you earn, excise duty, all other taxes. It's to verify the correctness, because we have said that Kenya is a self-assessment regime, and all this, it's the taxpayers who are self-assessing themselves. So the focus on these reviews and these audits and this compliance check is on inconsistencies, omission, or mismatch in declared data. One of the cases we have checked there, it started with a compliance check. And that is how the case ended to the Tax Appeals Tribunal, and even intending to go further. It involves request for support documentation. So when KRA writes to you or they have written to you in regards to a return review, they are going to say that we need the bank statement, the sales invoices, the purchase invoices, the payroll, the loan statement, any data based on what you have been self-assessing yourselves. Then we have the issue to do with ITIMS review. ITIMS has been there for quite some time, since last year beginning. I think most of us are using ITIMS. But the essence is to improve on compliance. But you find that there are those taxpayers, and maybe they might be here, you used ITIMS or you are using ITIMS, but when it comes to your filing of VAT, your filing of income tax, you filed nil or you underdeclared. So any inconsistency between what you self-assessed yourself and the data in the ITIMS, you'll get a letter indicating that you have failed to declare income of 60 million of whatever amount that you have failed to do that. So the focus is on compliance with the electronic invoicing regulation. And this involves cross-checking of sales declared versus ITIMS transaction, and non-compliance is going to lead, or it has led to input VAT disallowance or penalties. We have also the issue to do with VAT special table, and it normally indicates that the taxpayer is under investigation for VAT irregularities. Either irregularity, you're not issuing ITIMS, irregularity that there's a variance between your VAT and your income tax. You're not filing your VAT at all. You're not paying the taxes. So it revolves around a lot of things, but all revolving around VAT. So the VAT special table flags VAT registered taxpayer who exhibit specific patterns of non-compliance related to VAT obligation. So remember and take reference of the VAT Act, which is the one that guides us on how we are supposed to be filing our VAT. So the taxpayers who are placed on VAT special table, they face restrictions in that they cannot file their VAT. And also when they issue an ITIMS invoice, the purchaser cannot be able to claim that. So they are primarily being blocked from filing VAT returns until they resolve the compliance issue. So the implications is the restriction from filing VAT. Customers cannot claim input tax from those listed in the special table, and there is also the penalties for non-compliance. So what are some of the recommendation and action plans for taxpayers? One is understanding the KRA audit process, which is important. And that's why we have something that is that we have in store for you. I'm going to share in a while for you to be able to understand about the KRA audit process, because it's important even to reference the cases that are the laws that has been set, because all those laws are for us taxpayers to adhere to them and to follow them to the letter. The second one is keep your books well. Once you keep your books well, when I ask you about a transaction that occurred in 2020, you can be able to give me the invoice. You can be able to tell me who you paid. You can be able to tell me how you paid it and where is that support. The moment you are able to do that, then any dispute between you and KRA will be resolved at ease, and it is not going to take you a lot of your time. Because for companies that are not keeping their books well, you find that the case has piled up. It started with a verification exercise. It went on to the notice of assessment. It went on to objection. It went on to the tribunal. It's in the High Court, Court of Appeal. And remember this, when we go that route, before a case even it's settled, even in the tribunal, it takes a quite long time ago, a very quite amount of time for it to be resolved. If you take less than a year, you are lucky. It means that you had the document, it's only that you are not well guided. But others, because you see, they are checking like 5 years. So meaning that we are asking you what you did in 2020, in 2021. So have an archives within your organization, keep all the receipts, keep all the proof of payment. Another thing, reconciliation is important. Do reconciliation on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis, depending on the workload, and document that reconciliation. Then also do a tax health check. It's important for you to know in a rate of 1 to 10, how are your books? How compliant are you? What is some of the tax exposure that you might get if KRA comes to you? And how can you be able to resolve? Then even in the tax health check, you'll be able to do proper tax planning. Then operate your items properly. It's important to ensure that each and every invoice, it's generated through the items. We don't want to find that the items record in your VAT per month is 10 million, but in your VAT you have got 20 million. So it shows a lot. There's some declaration and there's a loophole somewhere. Why are you doing this adjustment? Because KRA expect that what I'll get in your items, it's the same what I'll get in your VAT, and it's the same what I'll get in your annual return. Then understand the new filing system. If you are a landlord, a property owner, understand IRITs, navigate how to navigate on eCitizen, how to navigate on iTax, then how are you supposed to file when it about items. As a business owner, understand how it's supposed to be done. Then engage a tax professional in instances where you need guidance, and also where you need a consultation. It's also wise to have a tax representative, not just when you have a KRA issue, is when you're going to a tax professional. It's good to have one whom you can work with, and they can do some periodic check, maybe on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis, to check how you're doing. So before I conclude with the few recommendations and the action plan that I have shared, I'll take you through RWK and Associates, the services that we offer. And also I talked about the understanding KRA audit process. I said that we have got something for you. And in terms of keeping your books well, we also have My Accurate Books, which is an accounting software developed by RWK. and we'll have someone to take you through, because it's important for us to ensure that every transaction is recorded and nothing is left unrecorded. So as RWK, we do give back to the society, and we have a CSR program by the name Skill Up Mentorship Program. And on a monthly basis, we do trainings. And on 18th October 2025, we have a business incubation. And this will be sales strategies training to train on winning sales strategies to grow a high-performing, revenue-driven business. The mentorship program is always is normally physical, so it will be between 9:30 a.m. and 12 p.m. So this will be on a Saturday, and it's free for everyone. The location is Thika Road, Technical College, opposite PCA Church, Darugo. So in case you have any question and you'd like to attend the business incubation, we have got a number there. And also my IT team is going to share a link. You can register on the chat box. And also you can follow our Facebook page, that is Skill Up Mentorship Program. So for you to be able to get more understanding of these KRA tax audits, what triggers them, how are you supposed to resolve it, that is the tax audit process and the dispute resolution. We have got a webinar, a live webinar, and it's a 90 minutes of tax, 90 minutes talking about tax is a session that will assist you in so many ways, in running your consultancy business, in running your business, and also in representing your clients. So this will be on Thursday, 23rd of October, and this will be in the evening between 8 p.m. and 9:30 p.m., just at the comfort of your home. It's going to be through the Microsoft Teams, and we are charging just a small fee of 1,000. So we have our pay bill number, 4953780. And also in the chat box, we are going to share the link so you can register. It's important you understand these KRA tax audits, because death and taxes, they are certain. And since we are in Kenya, we have to adhere to the rules and regulations that are set for us as taxpayers. In case you need more information in regards to this, we have our contact number, 0728-897-429, or you can send us an email via info@rwkafrica.com. Then we have a taxation masterclass. So the moment you attend this taxation masterclass, you'll be able to learn of things, start and tax landscape. That is, what are the key laws, the structures, and the current regulations. You'll learn about the payroll and the statutory deductions. You'll be able to master VAT, accurate computation and use of the electronic tax invoice system, the iTax essentials and navigation, how to generate these vouchers, how to offset them, the customs and compliance, the tax refunds, smart savings approaches and emerging tax trends, understand taxpayers' responsibility and obligation, effective handling of tax audit, dispute and resolution strategies, understanding Tax Procedures Act, Income Tax Act, VAT Act, Excise Duty Act, all those acts that are set. Then we'll also engage in case studies and hands-on examples. So we have two packages for this. We have an online and a physical training. So the online one will run between 10th November and 21st November, and this will be evening class between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. and we are only charging 25,000. We have a physical training. This will be before the online, that is 5th November to 7th November, between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. the whole day for those 3 days. And the charges is 40,000. And this will be at Swiss Lenana Hotel, Nairobi. So if you are an ISPAC member, you'll get the certificate. The certificate will be for everyone. But if you are an ISPAC member, you'll be able to use this certificate and claim CPD points. So we have our number, and also we are going to share our link in case you are interested, or even you need a clarification, then you can get in touch with us. Other services that we do offer, we have tax services. We do all tax services, including tax planning, tax health check, representation to KRA, advisory on tax implication, tax training, like the one we are doing today and the one we'll have on our taxation masterclass, the KRA tax audit. So basically all things revolving around tax services, we offer that. We have the advisory services. We do give advisory services on financial management, debt, inventory management, system setup and reviews, all that, accounting structures. We have our audit services where we do the statutory audits, internal audit, accounting system audit, forensic audit, tax compliance audit, all the audits that are there. We also have our financial consulting, our financial services, filing of all the monthly returns, even the annual returns, bookkeeping, internal audits, all the tax issues, tax trainings, company registration, CR12 annual renewal, annual returns and beneficial ownership. We also have a tax health check. And in these, we mainly double check the tax compliance for the taxpayer to feel confident about their financial health. So majorly is to check how they have been doing their returns, what is the tax exposure, and how they can improve in how they do their things. So the problems that some businesses are facing, like, is your business fully compliant with VAT, PSU1, income tax, and ETIMS, or any other tax service? Are you confident you won't face supplies tax assessment or penalties? I'm pretty sure not all of us here will say that they are confident that they are not going to face any surprise tax assessment. Then are you planning a refund, objection, or an appeal? This tax health check can be able to help you. So we normally say that don't let tax burden you. Then, as I said, we have got an accounting software by the name My Accurate Books. And this mainly simplify your accounting work. So you can see here, before, this individual was very stressed. She had a lot of things. But after the introduction of My Accurate Books, the digital experience, this individual is happy. So in 5 minutes, I'm going to introduce my partner to take you through the My Accurate Books to see how it is. In case you have any question, just raise it for him. He's going to respond to you. So it's important for us to strengthen the customer relationship by managing all information in one place, and My Accurate Books assist in that. So easily store details, track purchase history, generate reports to make informed data-driven decisions. So in all these tax audits, compliance check, verification check, you'll find that KRA is asking for the documentations and the reports because they expect that you have a system in place. So they ask for the general ledger, for the expense ledger, for the sales and purchases ledger. So all this you can be able to get from our system, My Accurate Books. So in case you want to contact us or you want to visit us as RWK Africa, we have our Nairobi office, the Dar Resident, Gate 83, Westlands Road, Nairobi. We have our contact 0728-897-429. or you can send us an email at info@rwkafrica.com. And also you can check our website for more details. That is www.rwkafrica.com. So thank you so much for listening to me. And for taking time to join us. So I'll introduce my colleague, Joachim, to take you through and to give you a demo of my accurate books. So welcome, Joachim.
Hello guys, hope you are well, and I hope you have had a good interaction with my colleague Charity about the tax trends. So I'll be able to take you through my accurate books. So maybe by a show of emoji, you can see my screen, you can share an emoji. If you can see my screen, just share an emoji. So I'll be able to take you through accurate books. So Accurate Books is an accounting software, which is more of a bookkeeping software to enable you manage your bookkeeping purposes. So I'll be able to take you through the software. Just a minute. So can you see my screen? Hello. So I'll be able to take you through my Accurate Books. So Accurate Books is an accounting software, basically for bookkeeping purposes. So we discovered so many of businesses have been having a challenge in bookkeeping, but they have so much stress managing their bookkeeping purposes, and also so we came up with Accurate Books to help you manage, and also it's a powerful POS. So it really streamlines your business operation. One thing, it's a POS. You can be able to track your sales, can be able to issue quotations, give invoices, and also create credit notes. Again, you can be able to manage your customer from the system. So you'll be able to create your customers in the system, and you can be able to manage them, and also you can be able to get reports of the customers whenever you want, and also the payment report. Again, you can be able to track the stock levels. You can manage your stock through the system, and also you can be able to set reminders so that when the items are going low, you can be able to adjust and also add more from your supplier. And also it has payment integration both to bank and M-Pesa, and also cash. So you'll be able to manage all that from the system. And again, it has a multi-user access. So you can be able, if you are on a business, you can be able to create your employees as users on the system. And again, you can also be able to limit in the areas they are able to visit from the system, so that maybe you can be able to protect your business information from being leaked out there. So you can be able to select the permission you'd want the employees to access, and also deny them the areas you don't want them to have an access to. And again, this is a web-based application. So there is no need of having any technician coming at your workplace for any installation. So you just go to your web and you can be able to manage your business by just logging. So this is the my accurate book. So if you currently don't have an account, you can be able to create an account and start your simplifying your business immediately. So I'll be able to log into my account and do a 5 minutes virtual demo about the software, and so that you can be able to understand about it. So maybe I'll log into my account so that I can take you through. Just a minute. So these are my account. So anytime you log into the system, you'll be able to get the dashboard analytics. So you can be able to set the date range you want some analytics about. So from currently I've set for the last 1 month. So anytime you log in, you'll be able to see the sales you have been able to make on that particular date range you have been able to choose. You'll also be able to see the expenses you have incurred on that particular period, and also the purchases you have been able to make on that particular period. And again, you can also be able to see your profit and loss on the far end. So the other part is about the sales. You'll also be able to see a graphical representation of daily sales. That is, you can be able to see if Monday was a good day, you can be able to see through a graphical representation. And also on the far end, you'll be able to see the amount of money which is out there that you need to collect. So all the money your customers owe you, you can be able to track down here, and also you can be able to set a reminder so that when the deadline day for payment from the customers arise, you can be able to get a notification about the payment that they should be able to make. So the system has different subcategories. There is the dashboard, which we have been able to look into it. The other part is the items. And the items is where you can be able to include your products and services. So you'll be able to input if you are in a service industry, you can be able to add your service. And also if you are in a product-based business, you can be able to add products. So when you click add a product, you'll be able to input the particular item name or the service. Then you can now be able to select if it's a product or a service or a raw material. And again, you can be able to select the VAT you are supposed to, you are categorized in, and then you can be able to add that particular product. So these are some of the products I've been able to input on the system, and also services I've been able to input in the system. So you can be able to manage a product business and also a service industry. So the other part is on the sales. On the sales, you'll be able to make receipts and invoices. And also you can be able to generate quotations, create credit notes, and also receive payments. That is either you receive payments from the bank or from the M-Pesa. You can be able to collect them into the system. So on the sales, you can be able to create the invoices, and also you can be able to track down the sales and how they have been able to make the payments from the customers. So if a customer has not made any payment, it will be able to notify you from the system that particular invoice or a receipt is not paid for. And if it's paid for, it will be able to denote in the system that that particular invoice has been paid for. And also, if the invoice is paid partially, the system can always be able to track that so that the customer can be able to continue making the partial payments until the particular invoice is completely paid. Creating a quotation, again, it's very easy. You just click on create a new quotation, and you can be able to select the different products or services you'd want to issue a quotation for. And again, you can be able to create a quotation. And again, if the quotation is accepted, you don't have to go back and create an invoice. You just generate an invoice directly from that particular quotation. So these are some of the quotation which have been able to generate an invoice from them. So it minimizes the hassle of going back and creating the invoice again. So you just generate an invoice from that particular quotation immediately with just a click. So the other part on the credit note, you can be able to generate credit notes if some of the particulars you sold to customers had some issues and they may be returned. You can also be able to generate quotation in the credit notes and issue to the particular clients, and also maybe issue a refund. On the purchases is where you'll be able to record all the purchases you make in the business. You'll be able to input them, and also you can be able to create a purchase order, record all the purchases in purchase invoices. You can be able to record them on the system, either it's an invoice or a receipt. You can be able to record it on the system. And also, if you have paid the supplier, you can be able to denote it on the system. And also, if you have not paid the supplier, so that also you can be able to see the money that you are supposed to pay your suppliers, so that maybe come a supplier amekaa for a while and you have not been able to make that particular payment to them, you can be able to look in the system that particular invoice was for when, and you have not been able to make that particular payment, and now you can be able to pay that particular supplier. And again, you can also be able to add all your suppliers in the system so that it's for easy tracking, and also so that anytime you do a purchase from a particular supplier, you can always record in the system with that particular supplier. And then on the expenses, you'll be able to add all the expenses you incur in the business, that is from rent, fare, salaries. You can add all the expenses, and also you can be able to track if that particular expense has been paid or has not been paid, so that you can be able to have a correct standing of the money you are supposed to pay to maybe a particular expense you have incurred and you have not paid for. The other part is about the customers. You can be able to include all your customers in the system. So when you add a customer, you can either add an individual customer or a business customer. For a business customer, you will be required to input the business name, the KRA PIN, the contact person, the billing and address, and also the shipping address, so that can be on that particular invoice when issuing that invoice to that particular business. And also for an individual, just require the particular names and the phone number and email. And also if a customer has maybe an opening balance, can be able to input into the system. The other part is on the accounting. On the accounting, you can be able to get your balance sheet, the trial balance. You can be able to see your general ledger. You can also be able to manage your assets, and also you can be able to see your journal of entries, and also can be able to generate your journal of entries. And again, you can also be able to create your charts of accounts in the system. You can also be able to create so that any expense maybe you incur, you can be able to knee on that particular account. The other part is, and again, you can also be able to get your general ledger and also the balance sheet and the trial balance from the system as a click. So you can be able to have it in PDF or in Excel. The other part again is on the reports. You can be able to get your inventory report so that you can be able to track how your stock has been moving, and also to know the items which are low on stock and also out of stock, so that you can be able to adjust in from your suppliers, so that maybe you don't go lose customers because you have not been able to adjust your stocks. Again, you can also be able to generate your profit and loss report. can also be able to generate your debtors and creditors reports, and also you can also be able to get your sales report from the system. So the other tab is on the user management. So if your business has different users, you can be able to create them as users in the system and also give them permissions that they are supposed to do in the system. So for a particular so there are different permission, the roles, kuna admin, cashier, accountant, and salesperson. So the moment you give a salesperson, maybe it's to manage the sales, you can be able to limit them not to see maybe the reports or the accounting reports, all your expenses, so you can just concentrate on the particular sales. If it's an accountant, they can be able to manage the accounting bit and also the cashier. And you can also be able to limit the areas they can be able to visit on the system. For maybe for this particular user on my system, I've been able to give her the permission to manage the sales, the customers and inventory. So when she goes to the purchases, she is not able to see what purchases I make and what are my prices. And also she cannot be able to see my reports and also my branches and the expenses I incur, and also the part of the user management. So she has only 3 permission. So you can be able to denote a particular employee should perform what particular work, what areas she can be able to visit, and you can be able to limit them not to visit the areas they are not supposed to do, so that you can also be able to protect your business information. The other part is on the branches. So if you have different branches or different businesses, you can be able to have them on the system. So anytime you want to get a report from a particular branch, you just switch from one branch to the other without logging out. So if you want to get a report from this particular branch or in Nairobi West, you just switch to that particular branch and you can be able to generate all the information you want for that particular branch as it alone, as a stand out alone. So you can have up to 8 branches depending on the package you pick on the system. So if maybe you have a question, you can type on the chat box and I'll be able to answer them. So any question from, I can be able to take you through. And also you can fill out the Google form on my Accurate book so that I can be able to contact you in case you have a query or you want a virtual demo. We usually do virtual demos for our clients for free. So if you would want to understand it more, you can always reach out to us, and also you can be able to give you a virtual demo, and also you can also be able to give us a call on our customer care number, which is 001. So the customer care number is so you can always give us a call on our customer care number, which is 0116 333 000. I will type it on the chat box. 0116 333 000, so that we can have a more conversation about Accurate books, and also we can be able to, if you would want a demo, we can be able to schedule one. So I can see Mwanza has a question. Hi Joaquin, do you? So you are asking about if the system supports workflow, example where which can be done entirely on the system. Yes, the system, everything can be done on the system, so it supports all the workflows in the system. You can be able to do it from the system. So for Isaiah, yes, it supports all the workflow from the system. And also Edwin has asked about the price range. So maybe on the price range, sorry, I'm not showing you about the price range. So if we go to upgrade, we have two packages, the standard package and the gold package. So the standard package is for 5,500 for a whole year, and the gold package is 9,000 for the whole year. For the gold package, you'll be able to have all the advanced accounting suite, and also you can have up to 8 branches and also up to 20 users on the system. And also you can be able to create a My Accurate Pay wallet. That helps you manage your petty cash. And on the standard package, you can have up to 3 branches and 10 users. And again, you can be able to get a wallet, a My Accurate Pay wallet, which also helps you manage your petty cash management in the business so that you can be able to track how you make the payments for the petty cash in the business. Have I answered you, Mr. Edwin? So you can always give us a call on 011-633-000 or chat us on WhatsApp or our social medias. We can always be able to get back, and we can also be able to schedule virtual demos, which are usually free, so that we can make you understand about My Accurate Books and how it will help you manage your business and track your business very well. Any person with another burning question? So I have input a link, or now you can be able to access the My Accurate Books on the web, which is myaccuratebook.com. And also you can be able to get it on Play Store. It is My Accurate Books, so that you can, and then you can be able to create an account, and then now we can be able to help you understand it and help you incorporate it in your business, and you can be able to have our customer care support 24 hours, and we can always be able to sort out any arising issues. So if there is no any other question, so I'll just suggest that we go to the web, search myaccuratebooks.com, and then we can be able to have more interaction about the My Accurate Books and how it will be able to simplify your accounting business. Yes, Phyllis. Yes, Njoki, we are the one who do the system maintenance so that you cannot have any issues arising from the system. So anytime there is an issue with the system, we can always be able to sort that out at the quickest time possible so that you can have no downtime on the system. So yes, we do the system maintenance so that you can be able to sort your issues as fast as possible. Any other question, Phyllis? So sawa Phyllis, reach out and we'll be able to take you through the system. And also fill the Google form so that we can be able to contact you and also engage more about the system, how it will help you, so that maybe you don't have any. I can see there are a lot of issues with the KRA, so it will be able to sort your issues with the KRA. You'll be able to generate your maybe your tax you cannot get a trial before paying. Yes, Susan, we can be able to give you a trial period for 1 month. Then after that, you can now start making the payments. So just download the system, create an account, and then we will be able to give you a call, and also we'll be able to give you a 1 month free to use the system until you are satisfied. Then you can now start making the payments at the end of the month. Sawa, Susan, make sure you fill out the Google form so that we can be able to reach back and have a more conversation, and also can be able to give you a virtual demo, make you understand more about the system, so that the moment you start using the system, you are ready to go. And when you start now making the payments, it is just seamless. Any other question? So Duncan, on the payment integration, so the moment you create an account for My Accurate Books, you'll be able to create an account for My Accurate Pay, which will be able to now manage your payment in your cash flow, so that anytime maybe a customer or a client want to make a payment, you'll be able just to prompt that particular client on that particular invoice you are issuing to them, and they can be able to make the payment, and can be able to, it will be updated on the system that the particular customer made the payment. Understand. Maybe Duncan, maybe you can fill out the Google